Welcome back to the final episode of Building an Iron Fence and Driveway Gate from the guys at Iron Fence Shop.
Love that. Wow. That looks really nice.
Today we will be adding an automatic gate opener to our driveway gate. But first we need to wrap up a small detail by adding this top cap to our 6-inch post using a little bit of construction adhesive provided for us. This thing is completely customizable to your preference, but for us, we decided to have some openers in our car, as well as a keypad right outside the gate. This first box, you'll see me unpacking the aforementioned accessories that are customizable, as well as a solar panel we're going to run this whole system off of to keep it completely in-house and self-sustaining. Like this whole project, this is my first time installing one of these automatic openers, so naturally I had no idea what I was doing. What you're seeing me unpack here is the saving grace to this entire process, the instruction manual. I wouldn't lie if I said I wasn't a little intimidated before starting this, but after reading the instruction manual and using it as a guide the entire way, I was able to have a very successful install. What you won't see this entire video is this exact scene, which was, to be honest, most of the time I spent on this driveway gate. Sitting over that instruction manual, reading it over and over again before I did anything. But getting back to it, here you see us unpacking the hardware needed to attach the opener to the post, as well as the gate. Here you see me using a 4-foot level to get an idea of where I'm going to be attaching the hardware to the post, in reference to where the gate needs to be attached to. Now I'm marking the 6 hole locations needed to drill through both sides of the post to attach this side of the opener. Here you see me using an awl like with the iron fence panels to mark a spot for the drill bit to register to. This is so it doesn't wander as I start drilling each hole. With the post being as thick as it is, I decided to break out my corded drill as to not burn through the motor on my cordless. This took a lot of patience and accuracy, but in the end, I was able to get 6 through bolts provided in place to secure this bracket. While we are securing this bracket, I do want to say there's a lot of YouTube magic involved in this process. Throughout, there is a lot of trial and error, as every gate is different and how it attaches depends on your gate. This first attempt at mounting is a perfect example. You'll see we added a small arm to the original bracket to help space the motor off the gate. We would eventually go back and replace the short arm with the longer version also provided, as we needed to adjust the overall length of the assembly. This is also a good example to show that even with the different types of arms, there's still adjustability left and right when it comes to the motor assembly. Here's where we had some difficulty attaching this directly to our gate. What we ended up having to do, because the provided plate wasn't working for us, was make this custom piece cut off of one of the extra fence panels that we had. Looking back, there is totally an option that we could have ordered. We just made the mistake of not ordering it at the time. This custom option worked well, but there's obviously better and more professional looking ways to get this to attach to the driveway gate. Here's where you'll see that we realized that the short arm wasn't going to work for us and we had to swap over to the other arm provided. This one just gave a little bit more adjustability and got us closer to where the gate needed to start it in the fully closed position. And here you can see what this entire gate and fence was for. This little guy right here. He loves to go out and explore where he shouldn't be.
Yeah, so I just need to move that over one bar now.
Okay. Yeah, that was just my concern. 'Cause that's what I thought you meant. You needed the extender.
Now speeding this whole thing up to hyperspeed, you could really start to see how much adjusting it took to get this thing to start where we needed it to start. There is some play by twisting the longest part of the arm there. If you rotate it clockwise and counterclockwise, you can get some micro adjustability, but we were having a really tough time getting the gate to start within a couple of inches of where it would line up perfectly with the house. Just was a lot of back and forth, adjusting, removing it, putting it back on. In the end, we were able to get it lined up perfectly with the house with a little bit of that micro adjusting as well. Next up, we get to start the fun part. You're about to see me mount the main controller and wire in the motor to that controller. From here, you could just run external power to this box and have a perfectly functional driveway gate, but we decided to take an extra step of adding a solar panel instead of having solid ground power. All of this wiring may seem a little intimidating at first, but at the end of the day, the instructions are very well laid out and everything has its place. What you're seeing me mount here is the antenna for both our keypad as well as the button openers for our cars. Now, if wiring isn't your thing, that's okay. This doesn't really take much knowledge. Like I said, the instructions tell you mostly what to do, and all of these are just push-in, screw-down connectors that make it really easy to get solid contact with every wire. This is the part that's a little bit more specific to me, but here you're seeing me unbox the solar panel accessory for the opener. This thing is just held on by 2 brackets on the post and 2 brackets to the back of the solar panel, and just 1 wire that runs back to the main controller assembly. This is the last step that we needed to get this gate opener running, and on the next clip you're going to see our first test.
Hold on, this should work. Oh, if I turn it on. It's really loud. Got power.
Well,
I'm really nervous.
here we go, the first test. This thing worked great. With a little bit of adjusting of the parameters on the full open and full closed, we got this thing working a treat. Not to mention some cable management and cleanup. Thank you everyone for following along on this install. I know it wasn't a super detailed video, but like I said before, I'm not an expert on this. Hopefully, after watching, you feel confident enough to try one of these out for yourself. They're a total game changer. Thanks again for watching.